Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video.
Well, here we are, Giga-Texas. It is a very rainy, overcast, and cold day today. Made it a little challenging to get the drone in the air, and I had to delay a few hours. But I was able to do that and get a chance to see what the site looks like on this day. So there's a few things that I want to talk about here in the intro before we get into the main video.
Just south of the electrical switchyard, we see that graded work continuing even with the rain going on. This gives you a great view of that transformer and the footings and some of the additional work that is going on to prepare this for a new megapack site, and a top-down view of what all of this will look like once it is completed, all three of the transformers. At the chiller plant, new asphalt section just to the north of the plant. Also some work that is going on with some excavations in that asphalt area, and the vaporizers have condensation on it today. Over at the boring company site, work continues on the west main entrance, and here you can also see workers on that steel structure with some electrical items, some footings, and some other items that will be used for the covering to allow this tunnel to be operational. Some nice top-down views here of how it appears on this very rainy day. Now, this is related to some recent reports about Cybertruck production stopping this week. That is the case. This is what the outbound lot looks like today, and it is related to preparing for that tunnel boring operation for moving vehicles. Now, of course, the Model Ys are in very high production today, as you can tell, and many lining up at the outbound lot.
So there you have it, a few things going on the site that I wanted to let you know about. Also, a little discussion about what's going on with the production here at the factory. Model Ys are definitely being produced in very large numbers now, bigger than we've seen in recent times. Of course, the Cybertruck production is at a current standstill, and again, as I mentioned, that has to do more with getting the tunnel ready for operation. Hopefully, that will be ready to be used the week of the 16th of December, and that is just a few weeks away. So that is what is affecting some of the Cybertruck production as they get that end of the production line and the tunnel ready to go. So without further ado, let's get the drone into this wonderful rainy day and see what Giga-Texas looks like on this Wednesday.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you.
My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. Good morning from Giga-Texas on this wet and rainy day, and a lot of activity to be seen despite the conditions today. And we're going to start off on the west side, just to the north of the flagpoles in the main entrance. Wanted to show you the exit point of the factory with the Model Ys. You can see about 5 of them in the ground here. More will be coming out from that ramp, and they will be moved over to the outbound lot, which is very full of Model Ys today. In addition to that, those 3 receiving doors are still getting that formwork for the load leveler system. So anyway, as we face back towards the south and fly along this kind of very wet day, I wanted to get down near where the factory extension is having some of the construction in that exit point that is going to serve as a secondary exit for in case the tunnel is not operational. And there's a few other things I want to show you going on here as well. Now, one of the things I want to show you or talk about is next to this loading platform, that opening, that's where the Cybertrucks have been coming out as their exit point, and that is being reconfigured just inside this area where you can see that roadway. Also, some more of that grease trap work is being completed here. Once this is done, then they can extend that roadway out of this factory point, and the Cybertrucks will be able to use this and maybe some other deliveries as well. Now, they are doing some reconfiguration work of the production line south end near where the tunnel is, and that is partly the reason why the Cybertruck production has stopped for this week. And we'll talk more on the other side of the highway. This is a good view of some of the windows that are still in the crates on the trailers, and we're just about wrapped up on this side of the building, and they're going to be starting on the southeast side very soon. Now, as I bring the drone down lower, I wanted to show you inside this part of the factory and this large opening. You can see that interior structure, kind of that white building within the building. That's where the Cortex supercomputer clusters are located. In addition to that, we can see on the ground floor more of the scaffolding and equipment, plus the construction elevator system that is used to move from one floor to the other. So continue to see progress inside this part of the factory. As I pull away and I'm going to show you the south end. It's a nice look across the cyber pond and, of course, the roadway here. But I just wanted to look at the earthwork that is going on here on the berm on the right-hand side of the screen to see if there's any changes. Not really, but it's possible that's going to be for another roadway very soon. As I continue to maneuver over this intersection, it's a nice view across the fork statue and across the cyber pond as well to the south end. You can also get a really good feel for the low clouds and the rainy conditions that are going on during this flight. Now, as we get to the south end of the building, nice view of the earthwork on the top, the grade for the roadway. And with the workers coming out of this tunnel, gives you a good idea of scale. And they're walking on the concrete pathway that connects all three of the tunnels. As I mentioned, the kind of purple pipes are the temporary irrigation system, so they can get that grass seed mixture to take root for erosion control. Now, as we get around the southeast corner of the building, I wanted to bring the drone in closer to the building on the left and give you some views on the inside, especially where this yellow fencing has been put around where the equipment is located. Now, of course, we can see that ramp, that interior structure for the Cortex. Also, with the openings in that structure, kind of the angled section of the wall, that's where the cooling units are located for the cooling plant. And a nice view down along the two level of the ground floor of the slab around that interior structure. You can see more of those blue pipes and pumps for the chiller system, the black railings for the glass, and as we continue to pivot over to the cooling plant, a nice view of all of the manifolds and the work still on the ground floor. As I bring the drone up, it's a nice opportunity to see the fans on the roof section. Two of them are operational today. Quite a bit of the clouds coming out of the top, as you can definitely tell. But I have heard and seen that as a minimum of 4, sometimes maybe even 5 of the fan units have been operational. So it'll be neat to see how this continues to develop and when we might one of these days see all 6 of them operational. As I bring the drone down lower, and I want to pivot over towards the north just to show you all that earthwork, and the trenching has been pretty much completed. See the black silt fence around the dirt area on the left-hand side of the pond, and all of the equipment has been removed as well. Because of the rain and the clouds, I'm going to be staying at a lower altitude most of the flight today. And so what I'm going to do is pull back to the southeast, a nice view across the entire section of the factory. And of course, with all the clouds, you can see why I'm keeping the drone down lower. And as I maneuver around the south end, we'll get ready to cross over the highway, and we'll take a look at some of the activity on that part of the site. Now that we're on the west side of the highway, a few things to point out. Some earthwork on the bottom right of the screen. And of course the conduit in the trench along the east side of the west warehouse on wheels. Most of the trenches had been filled back in. You can see the pipes sticking up out of the ground. That's for lighting that will mark this entire section. Most likely it'll be down the middle of the extended roadway that you can see in the top left of the screen. Now there is a lot of work and detail items at the Boring Company tunnel today. First of all, they are preparing this west entrance for what looks like to be directional to the north and south once exiting the tunnel. And you can see that concrete kind of funnel. They're working on the kind of the entranceway concrete structure to the road surface panels on the inside. We see the vertical poles that have been mounted onto those walls of the funnel. And in addition to that, next to the tunnel on the right-hand side, that steel structure with a lot of electrical equipment being installed today. And nice view of the scale with the workers at both the tunnel and this electrical system that they are installing. We also see that square excavation with the 8 piers in them, still waiting to find out what they're going to construct once they get back to that as well. It also looks to me like some of the grade work or dirt has been filled in around the tunnel. You can see the concrete footings next to the tunnel on either side, and that'll be for that covering structure. Some pipes that have been delivered on the bottom right. And as I look down, this gives you a great view at this kind of the entranceway where I expect it to be concrete poured, where the workers are for the tunnel and to prepare that for operation. Also, as I mentioned, they are doing additional work on the other end of the tunnel inside the factory. Also, that is near where the production line kind of ends inside the factory. So they are configuring that so that the Cybertrucks can use the tunnel in the very near future. In fact, I'm hearing that the week of the 16th of December, we may start seeing the Cybertrucks driving through that tunnel. But there's a lot of work that remains to be completed, so we'll keep watching that. This large rectangular dirt section just to the north of the tunnel continues to be used as some material staging, but we're also waiting to see when this is finished off and used for either new car storage or for other purposes. Now this is a nice view of all of the Cybertrucks grouped together on this southeast corner of the outbound lot. At this low altitude, I'm trying to give you just a good view of what they look like today. And there are a few more over by the outbound lot west side, but we're going to see that there's mostly Model Ys over there. But a nice view along this section of the grouped Cybertrucks. And we should start seeing that production resuming next week. As I mentioned, the opportunity to really ramp up the Model Y production has presented itself. And as you can tell, there are many more Model Ys than we have seen in recent weeks. And the transport trucks are busy picking them up to deliver them to customers. As I pull over towards this material staging yard, I wanted to take a look at the white transformers. Looks like there's a group that have been moved over to the upper right, and then the main group here. We have seen some trucks picking these up and taking them to other parts of the site, and I am continuing to look around the site to find out where they are going. But this is what those look like today. And as I maneuver to go back to the south, I wanted to take a look at this smaller yard with the fencing around with this equipment. Again, this is going to be production line equipment that will be installed into the factory, and that will be going on for the first half of 2025. But nice overall view of how all of this looks. Fortunately, it's well packed with the plastic and also the wooden crates. And the stamping press has been prepared for longer term storage with that brown wrapping as well. So despite all the rain, the equipment should be in good shape. So I'm going to return over to the outbound lot. I wanted to fly along and just give you a better view of the amount of Model Ys that are being prepared for shipping. And this also gives us an insight into the production of these Model Ys. And as I mentioned, this is more than I have seen in a while. And of course, almost all of this is the Model Ys. Now on the north end, there's even more Model Ys being stored inside the parking area. And then take a look at the train of Model Ys along the roadway and the perimeter fence all the way over to the end-of-line facility itself. So this is I guess, indication that the production is in somewhat of a flux right now, but they're concentrating most assuredly on the Model Ys. As I continue to get closer to the end-of-line facility, one of the things that we'll be watching is the amount of Model Ys on the test track that runs north to south on the west side of the end-of-line facility. And of course, on the north end, we have the figure 8 where they do the turn testing. And then they also have rumble strips along that test track as well. And this is all for the final checkouts before they head over for the transport trucks. And also many of them lined up to enter into the end-of-line facility, go through the entire processing to finish up all of the last-minute checks and changes as necessary. And then they come to the supercharger lot, which, as I've mentioned before in the video, it's just all Model Ys today. Almost all of the superchargers are being used. And this almost reminds me of some of the earlier days before the Cybertruck production, what we would see with just Model Ys on this side of the end-of-line facility. So I'm going to prepare to get back over to the other part of the site, and we'll resume the narration on that side. I did notice that there is a lot of work and change in this clearing. We can see the forms, the rebar. It makes some sort of a structure with kind of a V and an entranceway. Plus, we see that the green temporary panel has been removed, and possibly another complete wall panel as well as they prepare this section. For some reason, it's going to be a little different than any other place that we see along this side of the building. So I am very interested to find out what they are constructing. If you happen to have a guess or an idea, let me know in the comments of the video. So I'm going to bring the drone up over the roof. We can still see the bricks holding down some of the roof membrane in this section, where they have had some leaks in the past, but I think that most of that has been fixed, at least temporarily, with the bricks. The ventilation ducts and the fans appear to be all operational now, although they have that makeshift lean-to structure still on the top of the roof. I'm going to bring the drone back down to the north side of the 4680s and get a good look at the activity here. Not really a lot of change going on at this moment in time. Not a lot of equipment either going into or out of the north part of the 4680 cell. We do see a lot of the castings all over the place today. Some on the right-hand side of the screen next to the factory along the northeast corner, and of course on this material staging and handling yard on this north side. And I'm going to do kind of a 360 around here and give you a nice view of all of these castings. Now, some viewers have pointed out that the rear castings, the biscuit, which is the extra part of the aluminum that comes right out of the casting machines before they are trimmed, all marked with a red X.
and they're wondering if that means that all of these are for scrap. I am not sure about that because they have the furnaces on the inside and we know that they have been operational. So if they were scrap, they could be just melting them back down. So I'll continue to monitor that. But one thing is for sure along all of this is a lot of castings. Now on the ground, we see that the grade has been prepared here. All of the trenching has been filled back in, and we should see more of the concrete being poured. And of course, more of the castings on the left-hand side of the screen, a lot of the equipment going into this structure. And from this vantage point, gives you a nice view inside of what it appears like from at least almost the ground level. And I'm going to continue to fly up over the roof section and get a close view of this superstructure of the baghouse plant. It appears to be all completed now, including that smokestack or the ventilation stack on the top. And while I'm here, I'll give you a nice close-in view of all of the cables that continue to be prepared for running along the rack mounts along the parapet wall all the way to the south end. And you can see this 90-degree turn and more of the cables waiting for their turn to be connected. And this, of course, is related to the Megapack site, the south end of the switchyard modifications, and the Cortex supercomputer cluster on the far south end. And this is a nice view looking along the parapet wall of all of these rack mounts with all of the cables, and as they trail all the way down to the south end of the building. As I fly along this side to the south over the power lines, I'm going to stay here just to show you the number of castings that continue to be stockpiled along this side of the building, next to the wall, in the medians, along the roads, and even near the multi-level parking garage on that berm by the sedimentation basin, that pond with the water in it. And it looks like there are some forklifts possibly either picking up or delivering even more of these castings to this location. So even though production of the Cybertrucks may be at a pause right now for the week, they are using the opportunity to make a lot of castings for production to resume next week. As we continue to fly to the east, it looks like there's a new asphalt road section near those temporary trailers. Also a view of the materials that are being stored here at this material staging yard. Almost all of the pipes have been installed now in that south end of the factory. Just some other equipment remaining there as well. The east warehouse on wheels looks reasonably busy today. A lot of the trailers being stored here. But I'm wondering if we're going to see that changed and reconfigured in the new year as they prepare for additional construction, particularly a welcome center and activity center underneath where we are flying right now. As we get to the south end of the die shop and the battery cathode plant, just taking a look at the Tesla Road work that is continuing along next to the main road that you see right now. Of course, there is some grade work, some of the orange fencing, and some of the concrete vaults that are being prepared to be installed in this section of the road. And all this should continue to expand Tesla Road along this entire section. As we get closer to the crash test facility, also just looking at the dirt around the facility that is waiting for further construction. Of course, the facility itself is very busy, and the inside we see many of the vehicles and also some battery structural packs on the ground next to the fence, and some additional vehicles undercover at the north end of this section. Now, the Wade pit has got some water in it, mostly because of the rain that we've been having. And of course, the cell test lab up here in the middle of the screen continues to see a lot of work going on as they continue to do cell testing and also some testing for recycling, from what I understand. Now, because of the weather, I'm going to stay low and return back to the west side of the battery cathode plant. You can tell with all of the rain marks on the building just how much rain has been happening. And of course, since it is not stained white like the main factory, you see the water kind of marks on the building
during rain. And one of these days, I think we're going to see that re-stained white or to match the building. As we go over this equipment, this is more of that Celia equipment, SAS from France, and that's part of the equipment to make the battery cathode materials. The new asphalt section here just to the north of the chiller plant has been paved in the last 48 hours. And it looks like they're doing some additional work to prepare for either manhole covers or pipes or a combination of both in this part of the asphalt. That white tank with the 2 white pipes is new. We saw that being constructed over the last couple of weeks here. And what the purpose is of this area, I still am not sure of. Now, I was about to go around the die shop, but I did notice that the vaporizers have condensation on them. Plus, there's a truck refilling some of the cryogenics. So I wanted to give you a view of what this looks like. Now, if you follow Starbase, you are familiar with these vaporizer systems because they have a lot of them to help with the fueling and also the maintenance of the orbital launch site and the starships. So we have some of those here at Giga-Texas as well. As we fly along the west side of the die shop, I wanted to see if there was any indications of the work going on inside for construction, and because of most likely the rain, not a lot here today. So I'm going to reposition over to the electrical switch yard where is there more activity that I want to show you today. Here at the north end of the switch yard, some of the steel items for the A-frames and other parts of the assembly that will be put onto the footings that have been constructed over the last several weeks. And as I fly further to the south along this fence line and over the control room, we can see those footings that have been added. And all of this is so that they can basically replicate the other equipment that is already installed. Now, several of the crates with the orange covers have brought equipment in to be assembled onto the steel structures. And this is what it looks like around that third transformer. And if you look at the other transformers nearby, you get an idea what this will appear like when it is completed. Now, they have the footings on both the north and the south of that transformer. They have been doing work in that underground vault next to those 2 white trailers, and the grade work to this south also is continuing. Not only is it that large rectangular section, but there is more grading going on right underneath the drone. But I mainly want to bring the drone back over closer to show you that some of that concrete has been poured on the conduits. The red color is so that it warns future people that may be digging that area that there is electrical conduit. That's the red color. And of course, as I pull away, a nice view of the graded section where we should start seeing transformers and megapacks being installed in the near future. Also, near these trailers, they've added this new parking section, and you can get a good view from this vantage point of how it looks today. So I'm going to bring the drone up to a little higher altitude. We'll fly over the Megapack site so you can kind of get a refresh idea of what that looks like. And we'll see something similar on the other side on the south end of the switch yard as well. So that will bring us to a close of this very rainy day at Giga-Texas. I hope you enjoyed what we were able to see and talk about both in the intro and through the video as well. As always, I appreciate your support. Thank you very much and have a great rest of the week.